Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know how we do at this point, so let's just get into it. I want to talk about, I don't know what I'm titling this right now, but I want to talk about that post that the president posted of Barack Obama and his wife being apes, just about racism in general and a call to action. So let's just get into it. I think this is a clear example that race still matters, right? I mean, I feel like one of the issues like that has taken a lot of young people away and like has like surprised me and think like this generation and the previous generation, like my generation, the previous generation has like failed the newer generations of letting them realize the urgency of racism and how it still impacts us in everyday lives. And I feel like, the powers that be have like tried to make us think that it doesn't matter, but this kind of shows like it's still alive and well and it impacts us and it's not funny. And it's just a matter of not only that it matters and it should impact your decision, because I feel like that's something a lot of us are like, oh, well, I'm above race. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, yes, racism exists. However, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't impact your ability to be successful and everything. But no, it definitely does. That the people that are in power, like, how could you lead if you are a racist, like in an equal society? But I digress. What I think it points out is that there is a certain segment of this population that will never admit anything is racist. And I feel like for some reason, and I think myself included earlier in my life, that like the myth that there was some kind of like racial consensus at some point in time during the civil rights movement, that like even if it was a small majority, that like, hey, the majority won and they realized racism was bad and that, eventually hearts and minds will change, et cetera, et cetera. I think that this proves that that is all absolute bullshit. That there is a firm 40% of the nation that will not ever say anything is racist. And my thing is this is like, there are only two things that are like, I think objectively racist and that couldn't be like swept, well, three. Like, if you're like literally like lynching black people and railing racial epithets, or if you say the N word, or you call a black person a monkey. I feel like those are like the three things that are just like, okay, that's like clearly objectionably racist. And you'll see that even some of the Republicans that are saying that it was bad, or saying that it was in poor taste, or saying that you should have put it down, they are saying everything else but that it was racist, right? They're saying everything else, but it was completely unacceptable, right? They're allowing the space for like it's and they're diffusing it. Oh, let's not worry about that. What about someone saying this? And we're not talking about this. But it's like, yo, they can't even bear to have a conversation about it, right? Because they will never call it racist, right? They never will. Because like they're the people that think racism is bad. However, there's nothing that is racist according to them except if they want to call reverse racism. They love doing that, but apparently nothing any white person could do is racist, and it's always the black card. And I want to kind of have a digressing conversation about this really quickly about how white people even think that. Right? I think that is the true mark of white supremacy. The fact that, like, you, the perpetrator, could somehow think that you have a right to tell black people when racism actually occurs. Like, that we cannot determine our own offense for ourselves. And somehow the litmus test of whatever is racist must come from mainstream media or the parties that are fucking persecuting us ourselves, right? So how can we as America can't come to a consensus that calling black people monkeys are racist? Like the fuck? Like there's a debate about that. There's not a mass repudiation of that. And I feel like let's just take a look at this. Like not only the fact that any other racial group doesn't have to do it, like no one will question Jews determining something was anti-Semitic. Like, no one will question Asian Americans determining something was anti-Asian. And it's happened in this country. It's not questioned. But you know what group everybody seems to feel like they can have their 2 cents into? Every group, they always crying, oh, you're just crying the race card? Us! It's always us. We have to be legitimized in order for our pain to even be recognized. And it's across the board, right? It's across the board. That's why black women, in terms of like pain for the doctors and stuff, they're not listened to. Infant mortality rates are higher because somehow they just don't, black people's own testimonies don't qualify. That's why there's complete disparities in the justice system where we're arrested more, even despite our criminal rates are the same. We're sentenced much longer. And look at the shit that's happening with the ICE killings. A lot of black people are not as up in arms as many of the other populations. Why? Because this literally is black America, and a lot of urban and lower income environments incidents every day. How many times did the police encounter a black person and that black person is just vilified? Vilified to the utmost. I just think of Tamir Rice, a child playing in a park that was murdered by a cop, and somehow, oh, his family, his mother, the way he was playing with his toy gun, he could, like, everything other than to humanize a fucking kid playing in a park with a legal toy that he was perceived as a threat and killed. And instead of just being like, oops, my bad, that was bad, the nation went, it was like a debate. The cop wasn't even going to get fired. It was just, it's crazy. So, I mean, like, this is a world where, like, black pain, black victimization, racism against black, everything is judged. And that to me is really what racism is. It's the fact that we don't even have the ability to determine our own problems. That somehow they have to be qualified by some other group. And usually that group are the persecutors. They're the fucking perps. They're the ones doing it. So now we have to get the approval of the people doing it that what they're doing is wrong. And if anything else couldn't be something, the news story that like kind of swept under the radar was racist President Trump saying that the civil rights movement hurt white people. Or I'm paraphrasing, or it was hurtful to white people, or it negatively impacted white people. I need us to fucking take a minute to fucking think about that shit for 2 seconds. This fucking ignorant ass motherfucker just said that civil rights, just think about, is civility, if something that is civil hurtful to you or a group of people, or something that is making things equal. If equal rights is something that you can honestly say with a straight face was harmful or hurtful to a group of people, then maybe something's fucking wrong with the group of people. Maybe something was wrong with the system that makes them feel that equality is hurtful. Isn't that a clear acknowledgement that like they're okay with inequities? That the sheer thought of equity and equitable fair practices is a threat. It negatively impacted them. Like, let's think about that. But I digress. Black people, we need to take back what racism is. Like, I refuse to qualify anything that I'm thinking and feeling, especially with a group that for the majority of my history in this nation has been responsible for making me feel that way. And for people that feel like DEI and civil rights are attacks upon them while recognizing the inequity of the system, it's like ridiculous. We have to stop this. This Obama shit is complete evidence of that. You will never change 40% of the population. It won't ever happen. These racist people will hold on to the racism and never say anything is racist. Eliminating Black history from textbooks, saying that talking about slavery is bad, saying that equal rights is a threat, saying that DEI is a threat despite being profitable, defending calling people monkeys and non-citizens. You know what I'm saying? Thinking it's okay to discriminate people and prosecute people based on race and how they look. When are we going to do some shit? And I feel like this isn't even a plea to allyship. This is for us to figure out what the fuck are we going to do to change this topic around race matters. It's very relevant, and we need to do what we have to do to make sure that it's on the front line and take back our own narrative. Until next time.